Chapter 7, Part 2, top of page 119. She shuddered. It was worse than the old man, so fat, and all the lines in her face, flabbiness, the wrinkles, and the sagging cheeks, those purplish blotches, the red veins on her nose, the bloodshot eyes, and the neck, that neck, the blanket that she wore over her head, ragged and filthy, and under the brown sack-shaped tunic, those enormous breasts, the bulges of the stomach, the hips. Oh, much worse than the old man, much worse. And suddenly the creature burst out in a torrent of speech, rushed at her with outreached arms, and forward, it was too revolting. In another moment, she'd be sick, pressed her against the bulge, the bosom, and began to kiss her, to kiss her slobberingly, and smelt too horrible, obviously never had a bath, and simply reeked out of that beastly stuff that was put into Delta and Epsilon bottles. No, it wasn't true about Bernard, positively stank of alcohol. She broke away as quickly as she could. A blubbering and distorted face comforted her. The creature was crying. "Oh, my dear, my dear!" The torrent of words flowed sobbingly. If you knew how glad after all these years, a civilized face, yes, and civilized clothes, because I thought I should never see a piece of real acetate silk again." She fingered the sleeve of Lenina's shirt. The nails were black, and those adorable viscose velveteen shorts. "Do you know, dear, I still got my old clothes, the ones I came in, put away in a box. I'll show them you afterwards, though of course the acetate has all gone into holes. But such a lovely white bandolier, though I must say your green Moroccan is even lovelier. Not that it did me much good, that bandolier." Her tears began to flow again. "I suppose John told you that I've had to suffer, and not a gram of soma to be had, only a drink of mescal now and then. And when Popeye used to bring it. Popeye is a boy I used to know, but it makes you feel so bad afterward, the mescal does, and you're sick with the peyote. Besides, it always made that awful feeling of being ashamed much worse the next day, and I was so ashamed. Just think of it, me, a beta, having a baby. Put yourself in my place." The mere suggestion made Lenina shudder. "Though it wasn't my fault, I swear, because I still don't know how it happened. Seeing that I did all the Malthusian drills, you know, numbers 2, 3, 4, always, I swear it, but all the same it happened, and of course there wasn't anything like an abortion center here. It is still down in Chelsea. Is it still down in Chelsea, by the way?" she asked. Lenina nodded. "And still floodlighted on Tuesdays and Fridays?" Lenina nodded again. "That lovely pink glass tower." Poor Linda lifted her face with her closed eyes, ecstatically contemplating the bright, remembered image. "And the river at night," she whispered. Great tears oozed slowly from behind her tight-shut eyelids, and flying back in the evening from Stokes Pogue, and then a hot bath and a vibro vacuum massage. But there, she drew a deep breath, shook her head, opened her eyes, and sniffed once or twice, then blew her nose on her fingers and wiped them on her skirt of her tunic. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she said in response to Lenina's involuntary grimace of disgust. "I oughtn't to have done that. I'm sorry. But what are you to do when there aren't any handkerchiefs? I remember how it used to upset me, all that dirt and nothing, being aseptic. I had an awful cut on my head when they first brought me here. You can imagine what they used to put on it. Filth, just filth. Civilization is sterilization, I used to say to them. And streptococcus G to Banbury T to see a fine bathroom and WC, as though they were children. But of course they didn't understand. How should they? And in the end, I suppose I got used to it anyhow. How can you keep things clean when there isn't hot water laid on? And look at these clothes, these beastly wool. This beastly wool isn't like acetate. It lasts and lasts. And you're supposed to mend it if it gets torn. But I'm a beta. I worked in the fertilizing room. Nobody ever taught me to do anything like that. It wasn't my business. Besides, it never used to be right to mend clothes. Throw them away when they've got holes in them and buy new. The more stitches, the less riches. Isn't that right? Mending's antisocial, but it's all different here. It's like living with lunatics. Everything they do is mad. She looked around, saw John and Bernard had left them and were walking up and down in the dust and garbage outside the house, but nonetheless confidentially, lowering her voice and leaning, while Lenina stiffened and shrank, so close that the blow reek of embryo poison stirred the hair on her cheek. Embryo poison meaning alcohol. For instance, she said hoarsely, whispered, take the way they have one another here. Mad, I tell you, absolutely mad. Everybody belongs to everybody else, don't they? Don't they? She insisted, tugging on Lenina's sleeve. Lenina nodded her averted head, let out the breath she had been holding, and managed to draw another one, relatively untainted. Well, here, the other went on, nobody's supposed to belong to more than one person, and if you have people in the ordinary way that the others think you're wicked and antisocial, they hate and despise you. Once a woman came and made a scene because their man came to see me. Well, why not? And then they rushed at me. No, it wasn't too awful. I can tell you about it. Linda covered her face with her hands and shuddered. So they're so hateful, the women here. Mad and cruel. And of course, they don't know anything about Malthusian drills or bottles or decanting or anything of the sort. So they're having children all the time like dogs. It's revolting. And to think that Ford, and yet John was a great comfort to me. I don't know what I should have done without him, even though he did get so upset whenever a man, quite a tiny boy even, once, that was when he was bigger, he tried to kill poor Waihusiwa, or was it Pope, just because I used to have them sometimes, because I could never make him understand that that's what civilized people ought to do. Being mad's infectious, I believe. Anyhow, John seems to have caught it from the Indians, because of course he was with them a lot, even though they always were so beastly to him and wouldn't let him do all the things the other boys did, which was a good thing in a way because it made it easier for me to condition him a little. Though you have no idea how difficult it is. There's so much one doesn't know. It isn't my business to know. I mean, when a child asks how a helicopter works or who made the world, well, what are you supposed to answer if you're a beta and always worked in the fertilizing room? What are you to answer? It's the end of chapter 7.